We started off our first year of full-time world travel with 40 days of cruising. It was amazing. And we hit country number 17 that the two of us have been to together. And then one of the additional cruises we were most looking forward to is a transatlantic from Florida to Barcelona, Spain. However, in between the 40 days of cruising and the transatlantic, we had about 3 weeks of time that we had to fill. So we went to the good old American road trip.
So join us as we cover 3 weeks of American history on Underground Lake, and we answer the question that everybody's asking: West Coast versus East Coast, House of Mouse, which one's better?
We are Robert and Jill, a Gen X couple who retired early to travel the world full time. After 30 years of life together, raising kids, building careers, and chasing the American dream, we reinvented our retirement by selling everything we owned to trade it for the adventure of a lifetime. Join us as we bring you stories about the people we meet, the places we go, and what it took to get there. So we disembarked from the Majestic Princess in Fort Lauderdale. We had to take a taxi over to the airport to pick up our rental car, and then we drove up and spent the night in Jacksonville, and then headed on to Fort Mill, South Carolina, to spend a couple of days with some very good friends of ours. No drive through that part of the country is complete without a stop at Buc-ee's. And that was Robert's very first time at a Buc-ee's, and if you know, you know, if you've been to a Buc-ee's. And then we made it to South Carolina.
After a short visit with our friends in South Carolina, we drove on to Richmond, Virginia, and visited some friends there. And you really liked Richmond, right?
I sure did. So our friends had moved to Richmond, Virginia from where we were originally from, Palm Springs, California. And I loved Richmond. It just was actually quaint. There were a lot of red brick buildings. All the homes and the architecture looked different. Where we stayed, it was very walkable. We went to a local bar restaurant for dinner, and it was a step down from the sidewalk level, and it was carpeted, and it was super cool in there, kind of your neighborhood bar place. And I just really enjoyed the vibe. We went downtown, and we had a great taste of American history.
Yeah, and there's something very historical in Richmond, and that's the church that Patrick Henry spoke at the beginning of the American Revolution, where he said, give me liberty or give me death. And so we actually had a chance to see a reenactment of that. They had some quite a large cast of men dressed up in period costumes, and they were hosting a school, and the school happened to be from California. Not only was it from California, it was from our local desert. And we actually ran in to one of our friends and her daughter there going to see this performance inside the church that Patrick Henry spoke at, which was absolutely amazing. To be like, oh my gosh, what are you doing there, right?
It was random.
It was very random.
Weird to run into people that we've known very well from home. So that it was a rainy day, but that was certainly a bright spot in the day. We also had a chance to go over to the American Museum of the Civil War. Right. And Robert, he's a big
Civil War fan. Stay tuned. We got more coming.
Yeah, and it was really, really a fun couple of days with friends of ours that we've known for over 20 years. After we left Richmond, we continued on our road trip, and we saw a sign on the side of the freeway that was directing people to the Woodrow Wilson Museum. So I love presidential libraries and museums, so we made a quick turn off the side of the road, and we stopped by this museum. Now, this museum is privately funded, so it was a little small, but they had his motorcade car and a bunch about him as a person and the history that was going on during his presidency. So that was a little surprise stop along the way.
After leaving the museum, we headed on over to Tennessee and went to Knoxville, where our good friends live. Now, we'd been to Knoxville before, so we kind of took the couple days that we were with them as just some time to relax, catch up on things, get some laundry done.
And we even saw some snow flurries.
Yeah,
so
we did.
That was, we didn't get a picture of it, but
Well,
it was
hardly there.
It was hardly there, but there was snow, and it was exciting because you didn't have to shovel it.
Yeah.
After Knoxville, we headed to Calhoun, Tennessee to meet up with another good friend of ours. He actually was our assistant scoutmaster of the Boy Scout troop we had. You were the scoutmaster. So we've been friends with him for quite a long time, and he's relocated there. And
loves it there
and
in
loves
Tennessee.
it. Yeah,
Absolutely
and he's building a
loves it in
house, so we got to see that. And he took us to a place that I think for you and I, we had mixed reviews.
So our friend Andrew took us to the Lost Sea. Now, this is a lake that's underneath the ground. It's in some caverns and things like that. And I was super stoked. You?
Not at all.
Not at all, yeah. So we headed down there, and there's like a gigantic, you kind of go down a pathway, you see the stalactites, stalagmites, those kinds of things. And you get down to this lake, and there's fish down there, which was really cool. You get on a little boat, and you motor out in the middle of the cave. And I thought it was neat. Jill, just not her jam. Yeah.
I've done a lot of caves, and I announced to our friend and to Robert, congratulations, you were with me on the very last cave.
Yeah.
I'm not doing caves anymore.
Yeah.
I'm
You've
too
done
old.
a couple. You've met your quota of caves.
No more.
After the cave, we went over to Sweetwater, a little town nearby there. Had some amazing ice cream. Just a quaint little town. They had the Lazy Beagle, which we had lunch at, which was really good. And then we said goodbye to our friend and headed to see some friends of ours down in Chickamauga, Georgia. Chickamauga is a very small town there in northern Georgia, and it is most famous for the Battle of Chickamauga, which took place in 1863. And of course, being former military myself, always interested in battlefields. I'd been to Chickamauga before, but I really had a chance to tour it a little bit more extensively during this visit. Went up and saw a monument where one of my direct ancestors' brothers fought at there. So I got a picture next to that particular monument. There's lots of cannons, a nice museum there with a ton of things to see, covering the Battle of Chickamauga and things about the Civil War.
Now, I did not go to that. Much like the caves, in all of our time together, there's a few things that I've decided I love his passion. I just don't share it. So you went and trucked around the fields and took pictures of monuments, and I did not go.
And I think this is one of the great things about our travel is that there's going to be certain things that we're both individually interested in, and the other is not. And there's no problem with one of us saying, you know what, I'm going to go see graveyards and Civil War cannons, and you're like, I'm going to stay home and
not do that.
Not do that. Yeah.
No graveyards, no Civil War sites,
and no more caves.
And no more caves.
And no more caves.
After Chickamauga, we drove through Atlanta and we stopped at the Jimmy Carter Presidential Museum. Now, I just said I'm not a big fan of historical sites, but for some odd reason, as I mentioned earlier, I love presidential museums.
Right, and now you've gotten 2 in like 3 weeks.
In 3 weeks, so it's kind of a good day, and I just love this little museum. And we've had the pleasure of going to Reagan's, to Clinton's, and they're all fabulous and big and impressive. And Jimmy Carter's is not quite as big and a little more humble, which I thought was pretty cool. It made me feel like that's kind of, my memory is that's kind of the man that he was. And it was just an interesting little slice of history. That's really kind of the first president I truly remember a lot of what was going on in the world at that time. And you just learn a lot about the man, his family, and he had a Grammy. I didn't know that. Yeah, he won a Grammy.
After we left the Jimmy Carter Museum, it was time to head south. And our last stop before getting onto our cruise ship to head to Europe was to go to Disney World Resort. Now, we were super excited about this. And the thing we weren't excited about is how much money we had to spend in order to do that. Now we love Disney stuff. we've been to Disneyland, what do we say, like at least a dozen times together?
A dozen. Yeah.
Maybe more. We've actually kind of lost count. And I had never been to Disney World. So I was curious what the difference was going to be between the Disney World, Magic Kingdom, and Disneyland in Anaheim, California.
East Coast, West Coast.
East Coast, West Coast, right? And so when we got there, it was an interesting experience.
We both felt like Disney World was familiar, but not exactly the same. Maybe like a cousin.
I felt like I was in an alternate universe. Like,
yes.
Like here's Main Street, but it looks a little different. Here's Tomorrowland, but it's not the same.
Yeah, and the Haunted Mansion ride was there, but it wasn't quite the same. And maybe because we're used to Disneyland and we know the rides, we know the park layout, we know where to get the churros, all that stuff. And we don't, obviously, with Disney World. It was fun. It was a beautiful day. It was Disney. We got to ride some really cool rides. I rode Space Mountain, which is my favorite ride. And we rode Tron. Now, that was super cool.
Tron was very cool.
Tron was a lot of fun. So we did have a good day. But I would have to say, I think I prefer Disneyland in California.
Yeah, I would definitely say Disneyland in California beats the Magic Kingdom there in Florida. However, there was a little bit of walk down memory lane because in the Magic Kingdom, they still had the Country Bear Jamboree, which I love. And Disneyland no longer has that. So there was a little bit of nostalgia for me getting a chance to see that again.
After spending one day at Disney World, the next day we went over to Epcot. Now, I had been to the resort, but it has been over 20 years. You have never been
to Epcot.
And I think we really enjoyed Epcot.
I did. Yeah, we both did. Sorry. Yeah, we both really enjoyed Epcot, and we spent most of our time in kind of the international section. At Epcot, they have these little areas where they represent a different country. There was Canada, the United Kingdom, Morocco, Japan,
Norway,
Mexico. There was some Africa stuff there, and so that was really cool because we felt like Italy. So we were feeling like we were getting a preview for some of the travel that was coming up. And that was super exciting because we're looking at like the fake Eiffel Tower there in the France part of Epcot. And I'm like, we're going to be there next month.
Yeah. So Epcot was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And that wrapped up our time there at the Magic Kingdom. And we had a great time. I'm so glad that we did that. And then once we finished there, we hopped back in the car and drove back to Fort Lauderdale, turned in the car, and got ready to board our transatlantic cruise. Now, were it not for Disney World, we would have been way under budget for this little 3-week road trip that we have. So our target budget is about $165 a day. Now, that's not a hard, firm number, but it's definitely a target that we try to keep under.
So clearly one of the ways that we stayed on budget was staying with some family and friends throughout the stay. But we also saved additional money by using points. We used points for our rental car that we had, and we also used points for the hotel stays that we had in between staying with our friends and also our time near Disney World.
So all in all, this 3-week road trip really wasn't as much of a budget buster as we thought it was going to be, which is good because heading into March and April, we're going to be needing the funds that we saved from the last couple of months to apply to some of the exciting things that we have coming up over the next 2.5 months.
So at the time of this recording, we are currently on the Sun Princess sailing from Fort Lauderdale to Barcelona, Spain. We had a 14-day transatlantic cruise that we're on. We're super excited. This is kind of day 1 here. And we're heading into Europe. We're going to be in Europe through the end of May, and we're going to be going to a lot of cool places. We're going to be in Portugal and Spain, Malta, Italy, France, covering your grandfather's World War II route on into Germany. We're going to be in Hungary. Got a lot of great things coming up, and we're excited to bring that to you here in a very short period of time.
If you haven't done so already, we'd love for you to subscribe to the channel and also like and comment on our videos. We love hearing from you about the things you're enjoying and maybe the things you'd like to see.
You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram, where we kind of keep you up to date on some of the day-to-day things in between our videos.
And there you can find us at Our Retirement Reinvented.
Thanks for joining us today as we continue to talk about the people we meet,
The places we go,
and what it took to get there. Thanks so much for watching.